Hey guys, this is Rebecca with Protect Life Michigan, and you are watching our outreach preparation video. I'm so excited to have you guys here at Protect Life Michigan. We value doing outreach because our goal is to make abortion unthinkable. And the way that we do that is through having conversations and changing people's minds. Outreach is the most important part of what we do. It's the core of who we are at Protect Life Michigan, and we are so excited to have you join us at our next outreach. So here are some quick tips as you are getting ready, as you're preparing to do your first outreach. If it's your first time at outreach, I know it's probably scary, but just know that you will never be left alone at your first outreach. We're going to partner you up and put you on a sign with someone who has done this before, who's experienced. You'll get to shadow them, hear their conversations, and then about halfway through the outreach, you'll trade off. You'll start initiating the conversations, but that person will be there next to you for the rest of the outreach in case you have any questions or need any help. Another tip that we have is don't leave the outreach without letting your outreach site leader know. This just helps us keep track of where everyone is and make sure that everyone's safe. The next thing is don't interrupt someone else's conversation. You may hear another activist having a conversation with a pro-choice person and think of something that you want to say, but it's important to let them be the one leading the conversation. If they need your help, they'll bring you into it. Another thing is don't block the sign. If I have people walking down the sidewalk and I'm standing here trying to talk to people, we're blocking this image, which is our most effective evidence against abortion. While we're standing in front of these signs, it's very important that we keep an appropriate demeanor. We might see these signs often, but most people who are walking by have never seen them before. So please avoid laughing, joking around, or being on your phone around the signs. As people are walking past, you want to catch them as they're maybe 10 feet or 5 feet away from you and ask them, you can say, "Good morning, can I ask you what you think about abortion?" And as they're walking by, you're listening for their answer. Every single person that walks by, you need to try to engage unless you're already in a conversation. Be confident, smile, be welcoming, and always try to get a piece of literature in their hand. But as people are walking by, you never want to be spending time just talking to the other activist that's standing by your sign with you, because that means people are walking by and we're missing the opportunity to engage them in a conversation. As you're in conversation, always be referring back to the signs. These are the victims that we're representing, and they are our best evidence against abortion. At the end of every conversation, make sure to always ask, did this conversation make you think any differently about abortion? And pay close attention to their answer. The reason that we want you to ask this question is because we keep track of how many minds we're changing on this issue, and we report a number at the end of every semester, so we need to make sure that we know if we're being effective or not in these conversations. So ask the question and then keep a mental list or a list on your phone of how many minds you've changed at outreach. Another tip is sometimes while we're doing outreach, a police officer will come by, a business owner, the media, anyone in any kind of authority or influence. If they come and talk to you, point them directly to the outreach leader. Don't answer any of their questions. Don't engage in a conversation. Just say, I want to introduce you to our outreach leader. They're in charge of everything here. They're the person that you need to talk to. Finally, if someone ever makes any kind of threat or says anything that makes you uncomfortable, make sure that you report that immediately to the outreach leader. You're probably not the only activist that they're going to come up and talk to, so you're doing this not just to protect yourself, but to protect the rest of your team. Pay attention to the description of the person so that you can pass that information along as well. So now that you know the basics of how an outreach works, we're going to talk about some times when you might be stumped or kind of a what to say when. So our goal when we're approaching someone is to get them to stop and talk to us. We want to have a conversation with them. So oftentimes you'll ask someone, what do you think about abortion? And they'll just walk past without saying anything. They'll ignore your first question. So always have a follow-up question in your mind. Some of my favorites, when they don't answer, I'll say, are you pro-choice, or do you think abortion should be illegal? Questions like that to get them thinking a little bit more specific, and they may stop to answer you after that follow-up question. You can always say, I would love to hear what you think. Let them know you want to engage. If they give some kind of short answer and keep walking, that's not enough, right? Like, we want to get them to stop and talk. We want to have a conversation. So if they say something like, I don't have an opinion, you can follow up with a question like, do you think abortion is a good thing or a bad thing? Something to get them thinking in different categories, help them start to form an opinion and stop for a conversation. If they say, I'm pro-life, our job isn't done. We don't let them just keep walking. The first question that you want to ask if they say that they're pro-life is, do you believe that abortion is wrong in every circumstance? A lot of people will say they're pro-life but still have some exceptions, so you want to draw these out. If they say that they do have some exceptions, you can launch into a dialogue conversation with them and try to change their mind. If they say that they are actually 100% pro-life, chances are they're still not quite where we want them to be. It's good that they believe abortion is wrong, but we need them actively defending the unborn. Typically, I will ask, do you know how many times that this happens to a child every day in the United States? They'll say, usually have no idea. I'll let them know it's 2,300 times. You want to help them understand the reality, and then ask them, what do you think we, who know this is happening and believe this is wrong, what do you think we should do? What do you think we're responsible to do on behalf of these children? Try to get their contact information, pass it along to your outreach leader so we can get them plugged in to taking action. Finally, if they give you kind of the one-line answer of, I'm pro-choice, and keep walking, it is so important that you try to get them engaged in conversation. A really good response to this is saying, do you believe abortion is okay in all cases? Or do you believe there's ever a reason that abortion would be wrong? You could also ask them, well, what does pro-choice mean to you? I want to know how you think of that term. What does that mean? Invite them into a conversation. Something else that people do when they walk by is they have a really snarky remark. Oftentimes it's rude, it's a little bit hurtful, but it is so important that we don't reciprocate. We need to make sure that we always have a respectful and welcoming demeanor, no matter how the person responds to us. So never respond with snark, but if they keep walking and you can't engage them, make sure to always end your conversation with, okay, have a nice day, or something like that. Be genuine, don't be snarky. We always want to have a respectful and welcoming attitude. So we just went over what to say when people say certain lines to you. I just have a few more tips of what to do when certain situations arise. First of all, if you ever feel unsafe, you need to immediately tell your outreach leader. You need to walk away from the situation. Like if you're feeling physically threatened in any way, remove yourself from the situation and any other people around you. Tell the outreach leader immediately, and remember that we always protect people, but we never protect property. You are so much more valuable to us than these signs are. They're replaceable, and you are not. Finally, what to do when you feel stumped. What if they bring up an argument that you truly don't know how to answer? First of all, remember that it's okay to say, I don't know the answer to that. Oftentimes that actually builds respect from the person that you're talking with. So the first thing that you need to do is determine whether that argument that stumped you is essential or peripheral. A peripheral argument is something that has nothing to do with our key question, which, if you guys remember from apologetics, is what is the unborn? So if the argument is something like population control or something like that that doesn't have to do with our key question, then you can always redirect the conversation back to, can you remind me, if you think the unborn are human or not, or where do you stand on that? Or you could say, I think the crux of our disagreement is really on whether or not the unborn are human. So you always, if it's peripheral, just redirect the conversation to our essential argument. If it is essential, if they've brought up some kind of biological case against the humanity of the unborn, something key to our case that you don't know how to respond to, make sure that you bring in another activist, someone experienced who's done this before, who's near you in outreach. You can just say, I don't know the answer to that, but do you mind if I bring my friend so-and-so into this conversation? Whew. I know that was a lot of information to throw at you guys. Feel free to go back and rewatch this video at any point. We'll go over a lot of these things as reminders again at the beginning of your outreach, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do this. Before you join us for outreach, you're going to need to make sure that you read through our statement of beliefs and that you sign Protect Life Michigan's release of liability waiver, and then sign up with your local outreach leader in order to attend our outreach. Again, our goal is to make abortion unthinkable. And the way that we do that is through individual conversations where we show people the humanity of the unborn and the inhumanity of abortion so that we can change their mind, win them over to the pro-life side, and ultimately make abortion unthinkable. Thank you guys, and I'll see you at Outreach.